Hello, before I get into the video, just mention a couple things like I do in most of my videos. First, thank you for 900 subscribers. It'd be great if we can hit 1,000, probably by the end of November, something like that. I plan on uploading videos way after Election Day as well, analyzing the results, what I got right, what I got wrong. In 2020, if you're new to this channel, I got every single state correct. It depends what channel you're on. On my main account, I got 900 subscribers, and that's where I had the actual predictions. But in the description, if you look, I can go over, I do go over how I got the 2020 elections right. And I also have another video talking about how I analyzed the data from 2022 and beyond. So thanks for everyone who's watching. Make sure to leave a comment. I like having respectful debates. Don't come in here and just whine, because that seems to be a trend on specific kinds of videos. So at this point, I'm just going to start just deleting some of them where people are just complaining. But thanks for watching. Have a good time with the video, everybody. Bye. Hello, today is October 31st, 2024. Happy Halloween. Today I'm going to be going over my second to last presidential election prediction for the year. Very nervous. Also excited, especially if I do this 2 times in a row. If you're new to this channel, in 2020, I get every single state correct on the presidential election level. If you're interested in that process, I go over it. You can go to the description. It's the first link you'll see. The link below is you'll see how I analyze numbers. So to explain some of my picks, you can go to that. But also what I do is different than other election YouTubers. I don't just use the averages. I won't just like, oh, well, FiveThirtyEight has Harris up 0.7 in Michigan, so she's going to win Michigan. I don't do that. That's stupid. It's my own personal predictions. So I already recorded this video once, but it was too long, so let me just get straight into it. But first, I want to mention thank you for 900 subscribers on my main channel. And if you're on my alt channel, where you'll easily be able to tell if it doesn't have 900 subscribers, we're really close to 300. Try and hit that. And again, it'd be nice to hit 1,000 before Election Day, but I don't know if I can hit that on my main channel. But thanks for letting me hit 900 in the first place, especially off of a video that I thought about putting on private. So, I don't know, just thanks for this support I've been getting these last couple of months. And if you're interested in one of the most accurate election prediction people online, then subscribe. And I plan on making videos after Election Day as well. On Friday, I'm likely going to post, Friday or Saturday, I'm going to post my final Senate, Governor, and House predictions all in one video. That's going to be a long special. And on Tuesday morning, like I said, I'm going to post my final presidential election prediction. And on Monday, probably Monday afternoon, you'll see at like 3 or 4 p.m., I'm going to be posting my final analysis of the polls. But I'm also going to be telling you to take them with a grain of salt because they probably won't be 100% accurate. I just will show you how I did it my way, which was accurate in 2022. So yeah, let's just get into it pretty quick. By a safe state in my calls is 15 points or more, so 60% to 40% would be a 20-point victory for Harris in these 3 states right here. Obviously, she's going to win them by different margins, but as an example. So if she wins these by 20 points each, those are safe states. If she wins them by between 7% and 14.9%, that is a likely state. So Trump won Kansas by 14.9% in 2020. That means in 2020, Kansas was a likely state. I'm actually just going to keep it like that because with trends, you're going to see Kansas is likely going to vote like that anyway, as likely. If you're going to go off of polls, like I really don't want to hear anyone say, especially since the polls say Kansas is a 5-point race right now. It is not a 5-point race. Donald Trump will win here by double digits, almost certainly. If it's anything less, if it's within 5 points, hear me out. Harris did so good with white voters that she won every single swing state. That's a fact. She probably won Texas if Kansas is within 5 points, especially since both are moving to Democrats at a similar pace. Safe Democrat states are the ones I've already included. Also, Maine's 1st district, Illinois as well. Any other safe ones I can think of? No. North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Montana, Oklahoma, Nebraska and Nebraska's 3rd district, West Virginia, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri. Those are my safe Republican states. My likely ones, obviously, I explained Kansas with shifts, and I'm not saying that it's going to be competitive. Like I specifically said it wasn't going to be competitive. It's just going to be under the safe margin. Nebraska's 1st as well. The redistricting in 2021 moved Nebraska's 1st district to the left. It is also one of the fastest blue shifting states and districts in the country. considering it shifted by like 6% from 2016 to 2020. And again, like I said, with redistricting pushing it to the left, there's no real reason I could tell you that Nebraska's first district is going to be more than a 15-point victory for Trump, other than he is outperforming more than we think. And I think, if anything, Harris is outperforming what we think right now. Iowa's first. Iowa's first. Iowa's first will be very, very safe if it's the district I'm thinking of, the one on the top left. But Iowa at whole will be a likely state for Trump. Ohio, South Carolina, and Arkansas as well. And Florida, I think Florida will be an 8-point win now. I used to have it at low 7 or around 6 points to 7 points, but now I'm going to say 8 or 9 because this early voting data looks crazy for Florida. Another thing I wanted to mention is someone posted on my analysis video where I mentioned I got all the states right in 2020. They try to tell me that having access to early vote numbers means I shouldn't be able to that means that my Florida prediction in 2020 was wrong. And if you're interested in that, he originally said that I had Florida at tilt blue, which I did until election day, which I changed at 1:44 p.m. So Florida didn't report numbers, didn't report actual election results. They reported, I believe, by party number, but I can't go off of that in 2020. I was 14. I didn't even know how to do that. So, yes, my 2020 predictions were verifiably correct, and I posted that video fixing Florida at 1:44 p.m. on Election Day, which was before the polls closed. So, yes, I don't want to hear anything like, oh, you've looked at the early voting numbers. Like, what are you talking about? I hate that. It really ticked me off when that guy said that, because everyone has access to early voting numbers over a month before Election Day starts. So, what? Likely Democrat states left: New Hampshire, Maine at large, Nebraska's 2nd district, pretty reliably Harris. She's up by 12 now. She keeps increasing her lead by even more in Nebraska. Nebraska's 2nd district every single day. Maine 2nd district. Oh, Colorado's a safe state, my bad. It's one of the only states Democrats are gaining in registration on Republicans. And New Mexico's 2nd. Sorry, I know I keep saying by districts. New Mexico statewide should also be around 6 to 8%. So 2 out of those 3 points would go for likely. I mean, if it's 6 points, then yeah, it was lean. I don't really see Harris doing much worse than Hillary did. Again, I don't see Trump doing much better in any state than he did in 2016. Maybe a couple. I guess he could hypothetically do better in some swing states where he barely won, like Pennsylvania. He absolutely has a chance in Pennsylvania. What you'll notice in this video is there's going to be 2 states left that I have. It's the biggest, most confusing toss-ups for me left, and that is Nevada and Georgia. Now, Harris doesn't need neither of those states, and I have her getting 270 regardless. But again, like I said, it's all about me getting these states correct, so I'm very nervous about that. Virginia, I have as a lean blue state, probably by 5 or 6%. Worst case scenario, I'm thinking a 3-point victory for Harris, which is still a significant shift to Republicans and enough to make them campaign more in 2024, especially if Glenn Youngkin's the nominee, who I'm seeing as a top 3 pick for Republicans. Their top 3 right now are Glenn Youngkin, Ron DeSantis, and J.D. Vance. I think Glenn Youngkin is the only guy you can put up there that has a functioning brain that might actually win an election. You're going to see pretty quickly Ron DeSantis doesn't have the social skills to run a huge campaign across country for months. And I think Vance does, but he's not that much different than Trump for Republicans. And it's really a difference is, are you going to see him change his attitude once Trump is gone? I think you might see that. Because obviously, historically, Vance is not as right-wing as is saying, and I think he's just going to wait to roll with the punches and see how the Republican Party has shifted. I'm also going to move to Maine 2nd at lean, Texas at lean. You're going to see Texas probably be within 3 to 8% for a Trump win. I saw someone try and tell me Texas was going to be a double-digit Trump win, which is technically possible. But with trends, if Texas outdoes trends by like -5, that means Trump is not only winning Texas, he's probably going to win Minnesota, New Mexico, and Virginia. And that's why I don't trust that moron who tried to tell me that. Again, like I said, I don't care if you're a Republican, but if you go on my video specifically to argue with me and not be respectful about it, I'm going to argue back, and I will win every single time like I have. Just please be respectful. I grew up around Republicans. I've never had any issues in real life with Republicans, but the ones that are chronically online and clicking on my videos just to argue, it's ridiculous. And again, don't stand for it. Next two states that I am pretty confident about is Michigan lean for Harris. I'm moving it back from tilt on my last video. And North Carolina lean for Trump. I'm moving it. I'm more confident that Trump wins North Carolina than I am last week. Obviously, these early voting numbers, Republicans are already outdoing Republicans are already outdoing Democrats, by a small margin. If you include independents, Democrats are probably up in North Carolina by a little bit, but then you got to go and vote on Election Day. And I think on that, even though more Democrats are voting on Election Day, and more Democrats are voting on Election Day than the last two election cycles, and more Republicans are early voting in the last two election cycles. That's why I'm telling you specifically North Carolina. There's a chance Harris wins it regardless, but the fact that Republicans are already ahead makes me less confident, especially when you see the count. There is the counties that haven't had great turnout so far, or just the big ones that haven't had as many votes counted, like for mail-in ballots. So Democrats are going to do better, presumably. But I just don't see Trump doing worse than his 2020 margin in North Carolina, or better than his 2016 margin either. That's the fact. Harris had a great rally yesterday. Not that does anything, but I think her closing message was way better than the racist rally that Trump tried to do. And I know, I don't want to hear, oh, it was a joke or whatever. I feel bad because I laughed at the joke, the Puerto Rico joke. And then I instantly thought, hey, wait a minute. This is a presidential campaign rally. It's different to make that joke. You probably shouldn't regardless. But if you're making that joke, that actually pissed people off way more than I thought they would. I thought it was just Democrats acting like Puerto Ricans were pissed off. And I was like, oh, it probably won't change anything. And now I'm seeing Puerto Ricans are actually pissed off. They are switching votes, or they're turning out more than they were going to. Puerto Ricans are genuinely pissed, and I think that helps Harris in states where there's so many of them, like Pennsylvania. I think you're going to see Puerto Ricans turn out at a higher rate than 2020, specifically because of this controversy. And I'm pretty interested. It's pretty interesting how they weren't going to turn out before. They were going to, but not at the margins they were going to now. Again, we need to see more data. I'm curious if that actually affected anything. But as of right now, I'm seeing actual Puerto Ricans go online and be not bots, actual verifiable people go online and be outspoken about it, which I found pretty interesting. That it actually changed something so close to Election Day. You really went through the entire election cycle and didn't notice the not so subtle racism on that side, or is it just because it wasn't against you? I don't know. If I'm going to pick another state that's most likely to go to a candidate, Wisconsin. These early voting numbers look pretty good for Harris. Given Wisconsin to Harris, she could win it by a lean margin. But if she does more than a point better than Biden in 2020 than in Wisconsin, then Harris is definitely winning all three of these states, which I have her winning regardless. I have her winning Pennsylvania by a tilt margin. The early voting in Pennsylvania isn't as good as 2020, or obviously it's not good as 2020. It's not as good as, let's say 2022, but it's expected to be worse than 2022. She's probably not going to win Pennsylvania by 5. She's going to do worse than Fetterman, but these early voting numbers in general, pretty solid for Harris, especially since more Democrats are voting in person. The Puerto Rican thing doesn't help. I had it going blue regardless. I've had at one point all of these states being lean, but I think in order to be more realistic, and show the margins better, I'm going to put those two at tilt. So Wisconsin, Pennsylvania look decent for Harris. Michigan looks good for Harris. Minnesota looks good for Harris. Tennessee, optimistic for Harris somehow. I meant Texas, not Tennessee. Please don't quote me on Tennessee. Obviously, Tennessee's not in play. Texas, you could see be within 1 or 2 points, especially within the Senate race. You could see a surprise there, but I'm not gonna count on that. Next most likely state, Arizona. Numbers look pretty good for Trump. If you're going to include independents, Harris probably has a small early vote lead, especially since Arizona is one of the states you're probably going to see the biggest Republican vote by percentage for Harris, and that's because of it's one of the most moderate Republican states. Arizona is not a far-right Republican kind of... It's more like half moderate Republicans, half MAGA Republicans, and then the other half of the state is normal. So, in Arizona, I can't really be confident that Harris wins here, but if you're looking at Red Clear Politics and you go off their 2022 margin, Harris should be up here in Arizona. And again, if I have Harris winning and I get one or two states wrong and she still wins, I'm still going to be pretty happy. But if I right now, I have her getting, I have her having 276 electoral votes. So even getting one state wrong, I know someone's going to come in here and start whining about it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe we got it wrong. But I'm going to tell you for a fact, I'm going to advertise it in 2 years. As in, I got one state wrong in 2024, and I got all states right in 2020, and I'll still look like a good predictor, because that would be true. That would mean I'm a good predictor. That most these like polling outlets get 2 or 3 states wrong every year. If I'm averaging half a state wrong every other election, that's not bad at all. Nevada, though, I'm giving tilt to Harris. Republicans are up here right now, but if you look on how Democrats voted in person on Election Day in 2022, add in the fact that it's going to be even higher in 2024, add in the fact that of all the mail-in ballots they've counted, out of all the early voting, Clark County, where 60% of Nevada is, if you add in that, the fact, or 70% of Nevada is, if you add in all those factors, Democrats are doing a little bit better than it looks like in Nevada, and I think it's going to be enough to keep it for Democrats, especially since you see like Masta win in 2022, despite the fact that voted Republican for the governorship as well. I think Harris has a closer, especially with Rosen being up by so much more than Harris. It's pretty interesting. You're going to see how much vote splits there are. A good example of that is in North Carolina, where Mark Robinson is down by 20 right now, and the fact that I still have Trump winning it by 2%. But obviously, my 2 biggest toss-up states are Nevada and Georgia. Harris doesn't need either, but I have her winning one of them. In Georgia right now, I'm very conflicted. Turnout is up from 2020. It's projected to be up by like 3 or 4%. However, black turnout is down, but white women turnout is up. Is that white women turnout in metro Atlanta area, is that going to be enough to shift from the 5% worse black vote that Harris is going to have compared to Biden and Warnock's percentages? Because you're going to see black men who voted like 8% for Biden vote like almost twice the amount for for Trump now. So you'll see it go from like 8% to 14% now. Now, the fact that a third of the state is black, and you're going to see a 6% shift with a third of the state, that will likely be enough to shift the state to Republicans. But that turnout is down, and white women are up. So again, like I said, I can't really tell you for a fact. Georgia and Nevada, based off of numbers and consistency and inaccuracies in 2022, the inaccuracies will tell you Georgia's a toss-up, and Nevada is tilt D. The early voting numbers will tell you that Nevada's a toss-up and Georgia is tilt Republican, and your common sense will tell you that they could go either way. So it's 50-50 either way. I can't tell you Nevada or Georgia. Those are the 2 biggest toss-ups left. I'm confident, relatively confident about every other state besides Nevada and Georgia. Again, Harris doesn't need either. I have her winning this race. But again, if she just drops, even if she wins Nevada here, if she drops Wisconsin, which I'm not really sure she will right now, if she drops Wisconsin, then she needs Georgia or Arizona. So one of the most interesting maps you could see is something like this. Is something like this. But again, I think out of all these 3 Rust Belt states, Wisconsin is the middle of them. And if Pennsylvania goes blue, then so do these other 2. So, again, I know this video is still probably long, but hopefully it's not as long as the last take I did, because I'm not going to redo this video. But I know it was a lot more clear and precise in this take than it was in the last one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for 900 subscribers. I'm really happy about it. On my main channel, on my alt channel, we're getting close to 300. Let's hit that, too. And again, just stick around, see what happens. Even after Election Day, I'm going to make a ton of videos analyzing the shifts. You see how white voters are shifting, how religion voters are shifting. Is Harris going to lose because of the Catholic vote? Are Republicans doing good in their scare tactics that illegal immigrants are voting? So they're going to remove a ton of voters in Virginia like they have. Is that going to affect Virginia's turnout? We'll see. I'll talk a lot in the next 2-3 weeks on this channel, and just thanks for being a part of it. And have a good day, everybody.